All right, we're live. Hey everyone, I'm Reverend J. For all those who may not know who I am, and I'm here with my friend Jessica Bullock. And This is a little web show called Let's Talk About It. It's a platform that I decided to use to talk about the thing that people do not want to talk about. Today we're going to talk about women and relationships. I feel, and I think many other men feel, because I talk to a lot of men, that oftentimes society or relationships is more so, I would say, uh, slanted toward the women more so favor. Um, in a sense, they assume that in a relationship the women are always I learned and believe it's different. That's why they come to the phrase that happy wife, happy life, which I don't think that's a good phrase to live by, believe it or not, just from my experiences. So we're going to talk about some things, and we're just going to have a discussion. I'm not claiming to be an expert. I'm sure Jessica's not claiming to be an expert in relationships. We're going to have a conversation because I've learned that we learn through conversation. Yeah. And I've learned that as you learn, you grow. And as you grow, you possess. And I'm maybe somebody on a show or watching a show that will trying to actually experience something in a relationship. So we're gonna talk about it, but I'm gonna tell you, be honest up front, this is gonna be more skewed toward I'm just talking about what a woman is doing wrong or what she can do right. And maybe in the next show, we're gonna talk about what the men is doing wrong, what the men can do right. But for this, we're gonna talk about the women. So first of all, I'm going to Jessica give a little information about herself, who she is and what she does. She's an amazing person. I met Jessica by accident. And I was working for the National Guard, and I was going around the town to get resources to refer. I was working for the National Guard as a substance abuse coordinator, where I would refer soldiers from the National Guard to outside their neighborhood. And one day I walked into Jessica's office and I met her and her husband. And since then, we have forged a friendship. Through the years, I've been when she's up in New Jersey. She had let me work for her for a while because I do have a degree in counseling and psychology, and I was working at it as a methadone counselor for a while. So she allowed me to work with it. We've been just had a little friendship there for a while. So Jessica, if you can't give it like a brief information about yourself, who you are, and what you do.
Sure. Well, thank you for having me on, Reverend J. My name is Jessica Bullock, and I am a licensed professional counselor in the state of New Jersey, and also a licensed clinical mental health counselor in the state of North Carolina. My husband and I both co-operate a practice called Life Options Counseling Services, and we just celebrated 10 years last year. We are really excited about So thank you. We are excited about some of the projects that we are, working on currently, which is most recently our nonprofit organization, Be Well, which is an organization that aims to bridge the gap between theology and psychology. And so that has been really a blessing to the lives of many. And that's our life's work. That's where we do ministry. And we really love that. But for the most part, I am a psychotherapist. I'm currently I'm in school finishing dissertation for a doctorate degree. So I am super duper busy. And, please pray for me. Please pray for me. It's a lot, but it's good. It's all good. So I really love what I do. I love helping people.
Yeah, I fully agree. I'm still in school myself. Going for my master's in theology.
So. Oh wow! I'm praying for you too. That's heavy. That's yeah.
I'm contemplating when I'm done this, do I want to go back to school for my master's in psychology or counseling? I don't know.
We should talk offline
about it. But
for sure.
yeah, definitely. So Jessica, let's talk. Let's have a conversation about relationships. First, I just want to get your opinion. Now, in relationship in general between two people, I believe that anybody can be in a relationship. That's not the question. The question is, what is a standard to a degree? What kind of how the relationship be? Is there something that somebody should aim for? And
well, as far as to be quite honest with you, there's no like cookie cutter answer for that, right? So because everybody's different, and my requirements for what a relationship looks like might be different from what my best friend's relationship requirements look like. So I think that when you ask what should a relationship look like, I think there's some basic tenets to what creates a long-standing relationship, which is trust, shared values, and shared life experiences. And more than any of those is respect. So I think if you have those main key components in the relationship, then the relationship will stand. And for everybody who decides to have a relationship, they have to determine what those boundaries or what those requirements for relationship will be with their partner. So, that answer can vary, but those are I would consider our basic ingredients to a successful relationship.
Say that again, those three things that you mentioned.
Yeah, so that's respect, trust, and shared values / life experiences. Like, if you have shared life values, for example, I don't particularly care for polygamy, but there might be people who might want a polygamous relationship, or I personally need someone who is saved, and for real saved. I need somebody who's filled with the Holy Spirit and believes in Jesus Christ. Somebody else may not. So that's what I mean, like those values, those things that you share.
Okay. So the goal ultimately is pretty much just find someone that has commonality. Your shared basis interest in life and enjoyment. The Bible says, be ye not unequally unbelievers, which I believe it goes far more than just your Christian faith. It goes more just having common interests. How many children you want? Do you want children? Do you how do you want to live financially? All that matters. All that makes and breaks a relationship, and which allows what cause friction or not cause friction within that relationship.
Yeah,
I think relationship is like a dance. Particularly marriage is like a dance, and you have to constantly be thoughtful about being in step with the other person in order for that relationship to last, whether it be a romantic relationship or whether it be a job. If you go to a job, one job has their own set of values and rules and regulations, and another job may have different ones, and then you must decide how are you going to change to fit those rules and regulations or not. And of course, if you don't, 9 times out of 10, you would get fired, and they would call. They would say, "You know what? Unfortunately, this relationship
it's over.
It's over. We're getting divorced."
Right.
And it happens in a marriage, or in a marriage, say, or boyfriend, girlfriend, is that we break up. We can no longer agree, and the Bible says also, "Can two walk together unless they agree?" And the Bible leaves that as a question, and the answer to that, no.
Agreed.
So again, like this is just a conversation, and I want to ask you a question that we can just talk about and converse. So, I heard somebody ask this question. They said, and I want you to know, what should a woman's response be? Because we're talking about the women. Because again, I think sometimes women come to the thought that, oh, I know everything. In a relationship, I'm right. And the men have learned how to go along with that. Either they so anything and say it's cheaper to keep them, and so you know what, I'm just gonna be silent, and they'll find other things to put their emotions to in order to stay with this person because they don't want the chaos. Or you can be like this. You can be a relationship where each person can be constantly making adjustments, because a good relationship, it takes two people to make any relationship to work. And which means that two people must constantly make adjustments to fit each other, even as time changes. Because at a certain point in life, I may not want what you're giving me now,
right?
And I must learn how to be okay with that, and to, within constraints and boundaries. You know, you can't be an actor or Hollywood movie star, and then all of a sudden I decided wanting to change and make one of the big shifts in life. That's just really unfair, I believe. But you know, so I heard the question was, or thought somebody said, my husband said I was fat. And I think she asked the question was, what should she do? I have a question. What should a woman's response be in that situation? And this question may take up our whole time, but that's okay. We can always do another show. That's not the response to be.
So I'm gonna jump right in, Reverend J. I'm gonna be honest with you. You know, this question was a little bit, had me a little warm. And let me tell you why. Not because the husband expressed his dislike, but remember those 4 things I told you, that are required in a relationship? Respect is one of them. And so I think that if you come to your spouse respectfully, or your partner respectfully, and you share with them some of your concerns, that they would be open to hear you. So now, first of all, my question is, the wife is going. So you said happy wife, happy life. You don't subscribe to that. We don't subscribe to that in this house. We subscribe to happy spouse, happy house. Okay. So that way we are both making each other happy. We are both, looking out for each other's needs, and that it's reciprocated. So in order for your wife or your partner to respond effectively to you mentioning her gaining weight, my first question would be, how did you come at her with that? Because the way in which you approach the situation is going to elicit that type of response. If you come to me in a disrespectful way and you say, listen, you gained some weight and I'm not feeling that no more. Excuse me, sir? Like, seriously? Like, that's not respectful. What should have been said, could have been said, could be something along the lines of, listen, babe, I'm really concerned about, my attraction to you, because I feel like I can't, I can't have certain needs met simply because there has been some gained weight, and I'm willing to work with you on that. But I felt like I couldn't just keep it to myself. And and then, bill break bill. I'm pretty sure there's some things that I need to work on, but I want to make sure that, you hear my heart, because I'm coming to you in love, and I'm sharing with you what I've been feeling lately. Is it going to hurt your partner's feelings? Of course. Who wants to be told that they've gained weight? That's not a good feeling. But I think that in the way in which you come to them, if you come to them respectfully and you really want to have a dialogue and a conversation about that, that can turn into a really beautiful conversation, And let me say this, you have to create a space for it. You have to make sure that your spouse is ready to hear that. Now, if she just had a bad day at work and you're like, hey, babe, listen, I got to share my heart with you. That might not be the best time, So a lot of times, someone in the counseling that I do, I encourage couples to create honesty moments or honesty spaces where they have a time frame where they say to one another, can I share something with you? Could we have an honesty space or a moment so that we can share things that we maybe need to improve on or that we've seen in our relationship? My husband and I do that all the time. I remember, I'll throw myself under the bus. I remember a while ago, my husband came to me. He said, "Listen, can we have an honesty night?" And I'm like, I didn't know if I was in the mood to hear it, but he was like, "Can you not wear your headscarf Monday through Sunday?" Just being straight up, right? Can you not wear your headscarf? And I appreciate that. Sometimes you just go to bed with no headscarf because, listen, but that's real talk, right? Because you get married. You put coconut oil on your face, you take your earrings off, you throw your head rag on, and you go to bed. You get the baggy pajamas. But he was sharing his heart. Sometimes I want you to go to bed the way you walked in the door. Okay, I'll give you that like once or twice a week, right? But that was honesty, and he came at me in a place where it was respectful. So if you're respectful in the way in which you deliver, you'll get a respectful response.
That's good. As a matter of fact, I was on a call with some men. We were talking about community, and we really talked about the real meaning of community. Somebody shared that they was in the military. They said that they was in a leadership class, and the person teaching class said, if you have to let somebody go or relieve somebody with duty, they should already know what's coming, because you have talked to them before about it. And because they know you, and they know that by then they should know who you are, your heart, and your intentions of why you're doing what you're doing.
That's right.
Which means we say that it was in the thought was that if you're really involved in a community, your community will know you. And the challenge that a lot of people are maybe even living together, but not communing together. Again, even in a relationship, I should be say something, and that I'm not coming at you to hurt you. I'm coming at you because of a concern of mine. Now,
right.
I want to say this. I want to let people know that men have feelings too. I know the world has almost tell men just tough it up. They don't have no feelings. And though we don't, and tell you the truth, men, we really don't express our feelings, but we have them. And the men that don't express their feelings, they do express them. They express them in different ways. They don't come home. They're regular hell.
Oh my gosh!
They'd rather go to work.
Right, you're right. You tell the truth.
No, I want you to be a second job.
That's horrible.
Every weekend they went hang with the boys. It's because they have feelings, and they got these feelings bottled up, and they got to find a way to be free. And unfortunately, they feel they can't be free there, and they go to other places where they can be free at. So, men have feelings too. And again, like I said, I think it's great. They say allow your spouse to have a space where they can be honest. You know what? I want something different. I want you to change this. Now I guess, well, maybe okay, I'll do it 2 nights out of the week.
Compromise. That's compromise.
Okay, I can live with that. And then, granted, also I think about that. The comment about being fat was that there's more underlying issues under that, I believe, sometimes, because for a person to have to be so focused on the outward appearance, you may well look at there's a more internal thing going on with the relationship that he had to. Now again, a person can gain weight for many different reasons. Many different reasons. But again, I was learning. I learned that if you got issues, whether it be medical, you go find it out. Go to the hospital, get it checked out, get it resolved. This is my thought process, especially in a marriage. You are asking one person to be faithful to you and only you.
Absolutely, yeah.
So for the rest of your life, so you should be willing to do just about everything you can in your physical power, and pray for God for some more strength to make sure this person can have the best life with you, and not to go out looking for their enjoyment anywhere else.
But it has to be done with respect.
Yes.
Like you can get anything you want from your partner as long as you're having a respectful conversation. And like you said, yeah, there might be underlying issues, but that's not the point of conversation where you say, and maybe there's underlying issues to why you're so fat. Like that's just not going to fly right there.
No.
You have, like there's times for that. It might have to happen in several spaces, right? So like maybe we have this conversation about maybe my lack of desire in the first conversation, and then the second conversation, like, you know what, so I want to take this health journey with you, I want us to work out together, and maybe we could go get our physicals. But at the same time, let me just say this, like, you can't be pulling out the big old stick out your partner's eye, and you got a needle out a needle out your partner's eye. You got a big stick. You can't be telling me I'm fat and you're not attracted to me. I need to lose weight when you like 3 times your BMI. Like you need to meet me halfway. So like maybe it's just something that we both need to work on as a couple. But I think it's a sensitive issue. In 2021, in this society we live in, appearance is a big issue for many people. You got a lot of people filters on every picture because they want to look a certain way when they go on live or go on social media. They don't want to ever post the real them. It's everything. Everything is about what do I look like, and so you have to understand that maybe in the 2021 generation, you can't just get off with saying, oh, I'm not really that attracted to you, and point out all the reasons why. It has to be done with sensitivity and respect. We just live in a different time.
I agree.
Now, and we just live in a different time.
I agree. I think I totally agree. And I also my thought was this, and I told somebody this. I said, well, at least he was honest. At least he told her. And now again, look at this. Depend on again, men have a challenge with communication to begin with.
Yeah.
So this is my thought. I think this will men need to learn how to communicate with the person with, and they may start gradually. Maybe they learn how to send emails. I'm gonna send you email, but I've learned this sometimes. When you communicate the way you communicate, a person get mad. No, why? And again, the women need to learn how to let this guy grow. Let this person grow. Let him grow. Let him grow in the way you communicate. Now again, this should again, like I said, like you mentioned, that it should be very respectfully, and this maybe he need to learn how to do things respectfully, but that's a challenge, and that could be from a person's perspective. But again, I think if anybody hear that all the time, it'll start off with, oh my gosh, why you say that? But if you're in a community and you're talking to each other and you learn each other and you think about the person and you know that this person's heart is not anything ill against you, they love you, they have a concern that you should draw back your emotions, because I know the first thing that when we hear that, it'll be emotional. Draw back your emotions and really try to hear what this person's saying. You want to say something?
Well, I was going to just say communication takes practice, right? So like
correct.
You're not going to communicate effectively every time, but that's why you have those safe spaces. And I call them safe spaces because you need to create a space where you can openly, honestly have these conversations about some of the things that you can do better as a partner or as a spouse. My husband and I often, we come to each other like, all right, well, how can I be a better wife? Well, how can I be a better husband? We ask those questions. I'm not going to say all the time, but at least 2 to 3 times a year, we're like, all right, we might have a date night, like, all right, how can I be a better wife? Or how can I be a better husband? And I'm like, you know what? It looks like Poland Springs on your side of the bed. I'm tired of cleaning up all your water bottles. Can you please just take all the garbage off the side of off your nightstand, take all of the water bottles. That would really help me see you as a better husband. Like, and he might, go back into the scarf thing. I could really, appreciate 2 nights with no scarf. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. But we create those spaces where we have those times for the dialogue. He's not catching me off guard when I'm coming off of work, and we're sensitive and respectful with one another. So communication takes practice. It gets better. Better days are ahead.
It's not all lost, right?
No, no, not at all.
Uh, let's move to another question.
Okay.
I have another question here. This is a pretty good one. This is a pretty good one. Do women really think they don't make their man cheat?
Do women really think they don't make their man cheat? Okay, first of all, I got so many problems with that question because
Okay,
you can't make a man cheat.
correct.
I'm sorry. I will fight anybody. I mean, not fight. I'm not a fighter. I won't fight, but I will tell you this. I will debate anyone who tells me that their wife made them cheat or their spouse made them cheat.
Now look at this. Now the question. Okay, go ahead.
Let me
now,
just,
now,
okay,
now I agree with you on one level. You can't make the person cheat, but like anything else, you can open a door for them to cheat. Let's say in relationships, I get it. What's a good way to? You go ahead, finish it. I'll think about one. Go ahead.
Okay, so basically, what I'm saying was, when a man can't make a woman cheat, a woman can't make a man cheat. That is a decision, a whole decision you make. Now, I do agree with you. You can open up doors that can lead down that road to infidelity, but you can't you can't make somebody cheat on you. You have to have been in a situation where you said, you know what, I'm not trying at this relationship. I'm done. I'm ignoring the person's needs, and I am going to open all the doors and let all whatever from the outside come in. Now, I do agree with that. You can open doors that lead to infidelity, but you can't make somebody cheat, because I know people who have stayed in relationships regardless of what their partner has done, and I'm just sitting there like, when are you going to leave? And listen, now some people have a larger propensity for pain, emotional pain, than I do. So that's not my testimony.
Yeah.
But what I would say is that I have seen relationships where people have stayed in the relationship despite all that has been happening. So one thing I never do, I never tell nobody what they can and cannot handle. If you can stay in a relationship despite what's happening, all the doors have been open, that's on you. However, I do believe, yes, I do agree with you. We agree there. Doors can be open, but you can't make nobody cheat on you.
And I say this out of the basis of emotional needs, even for women when they're not met. If a man don't meet those needs, the emotional needs, don't respond. And again, it all goes back. It all goes back to value. This person, unfortunately, that's the way it is. Even though if you're a basic relationship or you're married, you're still being evaluated. Now, granted, some people have the thought that, well, I'm gonna stay with the person no matter what, and that was back in those days, where the husband would cheat or the wife would cheat, and the wife would just, this day and time, I don't.
Nope.
I think this, our culture has called us to change so much that we're okay with change. But some people say no problem. I don't care about the payments. Doesn't matter. But again, I think that when emotional needs are met, and again, when you get with a person, you must understand that you must be willing to meet these emotional needs, to make sure this person is happy.
All needs: emotional, financial, physical.
Financial, what? Financial.
Listen, there's a reason why almost 60% of marriages aren't lasting today, and that's particularly because of one of the top 3 reasons why most marriages fail is because of communication, finances, and sex. Those are the top 3 reasons why these relationships are falling to the wayside. If you ask me, it's because of the communication to talk about these things. But yeah, I wouldn't just, regulate it to just emotional needs. It would be emotional, financial, physical, all the above, and so
Mhm.
all of those can cause somebody to end a relationship for sure. Somebody said, what happened to
Uh,
happy husband, happy house? No, I said happy spouse, happy house. Oh, happy spouse, not just happy husband.
I mean,
You said happy husband. I said happy house, happy spouse. You
so, so,
know, um,
so you better have a job.
you better have a listen. I mean, come on, love don't pay the bills. It just don't.
Oh wow, yeah, yeah. Well, yeah.
As
So,
somebody who,
I have a question. So, okay, now as this for men, we get beat up with this. Um, um, the society said, "Oh, you're the man, so you need to make sure that everything taken care of. All the bills are paid, all that stuff. And they're like almost. And if a man don't do it, which again, I'm not in agreement with that either, because I give you reason. I give you real logical reasons why. That a man alone should not be responsible to making sure that we're good financially. What's your thoughts about that?
oh, absolutely. Actually, the tables have turned. Latest statistics report that women actually are the breadwinners in majority of homes and
Oh
households.
wow.
So, I don't think that it should be the onus of any just one person. I think that both the man and the man and the woman in a relationship, or should be both equally responsible for. They might not bring in the same amount of income, but absolutely, it shouldn't just be on one person. And I do agree, it is equal that both the husband and the wife should be happy. Um, but it shouldn't just fall on the onus of one person. Absolutely not.
I agree. Now again, this is my thought. This is my thought. I say truth is true through every situation. If that thought that the man is supposed to be go out and make sure all the bills are paid, make sure everybody get a house, everybody has a car, that'll be true through every situation. But the reality of life is that life happens, and sometimes the man can be out there, especially when he's first starting off in their relationship, and they doing it, then they have to they can't say work as they used to, which means they may be limited in their income. Now again, if you have somebody with you, depending upon what you want to have in life, I think the other person said, no, okay, what can I do? So we may be able to, because that the vision. Let's talk about marriage now. The vision is not about one person; it's about two people.
Absolutely.
Um, so one of our mentors came up with this thought about vision. It's like you have two eyes, but one vision.
Mhm.
So in a marriage, you have two people, but one vision, and both eyes work to capture and have that one vision. And that's the way I believe, and I believe that when it comes to marriage, when it comes to relationships, that you come together and focus on that one. You work together to focus on that one vision.
Mhm.
And I
I
believe that
agree.
whenever that don't happen, you always gonna have division. So I think again, this, but again, I think this all the failure happens before marriage. We don't talk about this before marriage. We think that love will come all. It does, but we think that we don't understand. A lot of people don't understand that there's a lot of other mechanics involved that makes a good, long lasting relationship. Anything else, I think will always have a chance to be end up in divorce. And nowadays, again, years ago, people stay together because they made the vows. And these days, oh no, people would have whole families, raise the kids. When the kids turn 18, they out. like,
Absolutely.
I'm like, by that time, you might just ride it out. You might,
Well, some people are waiting so that the kids don't get impacted, and so they feel as
yeah.
though, if the kids are out of the house, and then they, these are true stories. I've heard them firsthand, so I know it's true. Um, yeah, I agree.
And I'm gonna read scripture to you. It's 1 Corinthians 7:3 and 5. I have to bring scripture because I am a minister.
Absolutely.
So, but this is good. It says this, 1 Corinthians 7:3 and 5. It says, "Let the husband render unto the wife due the benevolence, and likewise Also, the wife unto the husband.
Mm-hmm.
The wife has no power over her own body, but the husband. And likewise, also the husband has not power over his own body, but the wife. Defraud ye not one another, except to be with consent for a time, that you may give yourself over to fast and prayer, and come together again, that Satan may not tempt you for your inconsistencies. In other words, it's saying that you have obligations to give the love or emotion this person's looking for, and likewise, that person needs to return the same favor to you. It's not about just one-sided, give me this, give me that, and we should be happy. Again, happy spouse, happy house. Yeah, that's good.
That's really
one
good.
more question. One more question. We're gonna roll out of here. Oh, this is good. This is good. Why do women feel like once they're married or have kids, they have you? They don't have to do what they did the first to get you.
That's not true.
Now let me say this. Now this is not true all women. I'm not going to generalize.
Listen.
This is not for all women.
Okay.
But there are some women out there that says, "Oh, I got him now." That's that. Now, the thought is this: that men are hoping the women don't change, and the woman is hoping that the man does. She's always, they say that's a thought that the woman is trying to change the man to become something, and the man's hoping that she don't change because when he met her, and when they just dating, it's like it's on, But when you get married, it's like, oh, got a headache. So why is that?
Listen, I'm going to keep it 100 here, okay? This is the thing. When you get married, you're in a different season. Mm-hmm. And when you have children, you're in a different season. When you go into different spaces in your career, you're in a different season. And so I think that what's happening is that, someone who says that why isn't my wife doing what she did when we first got to keep me? Well, look at the season of that your wife is in, and what changes have been made that that you may have to adjust to. For example, when we got married, I didn't have 4 kids. When we got married, I didn't have 2 jobs. And now, so maybe now I have 2 jobs, 4 kids. And so maybe all the attention that was originally given to you, it's not given to you in the same way, but the marriage should shift with the season it's in. So maybe we can't do our date nights every Friday. Maybe it's family night on Friday nights because we can't get a sitter until Saturday night. So maybe we do our Saturday nights as date night. So we can still keep in some of the romance. And I think that's what I really hear in that question is, why aren't we dating each other anymore or paying attention to one another as a dyad instead of looking at the whole entire system of the family? And a lot of times that's what happens when you get married and you get into your routines and you start having children and life happens. You start forgetting to date one another and pay attention to one another. It's very important to have those spontaneous dates and those spontaneous moments. I mean, listen, my children are a little older now. So, Kevin and I will leave the house in the middle of the day and be like, go on a lunch date. And I can tell them, we'll be back. They're old enough now. You can stay home. Yeah. We'll be right back, because that's what we used to do back in the day. Back in the day, we would just go and have a lunch date. Now we're back we're in a new season where kids are older. And now we have a little bit more freedom. But I think that you need to look at the season you're in and adjust accordingly. So to do the things that you did to keep the person, what does that look like now for us in our stage? And that's just not women, that's men. Men need to step it up too and do what they did when you still need to buy those flowers. Okay. Yeah. We still need to write love letters on toilet paper. So when she goes to the bathroom and she's pulling it, listen, this is real talk. So she still sees those I love you. She needs to still see, the little things that you used to do that were cute and quirky. Still 20 years later, she needs to see the stickets on the mirror. She needs to go to her car, open her door and see a teddy bear sitting in her seat. Are you doing what you were doing to keep her, like what you're expecting from her? Are you giving it? Are you dishing it? So I think that's a constant conversation that couple needs to have. If you feel like you're being neglected, you need to say something. I don't feel like we do each other anymore. But that goes back to our original point, right? Communication. You got to talk about these things. I don't feel like
I think I feel like I'm being neglected.
Right. You know,
To be honest, right? No, I feel like you neglected me.
No, you can't do that anymore.
Well, no, I agree. I totally agree, and I think that you need to give the person what they like, because what they like years ago may not be what they like now. And that people change. Again, I think that you should put just as much effort into being with the person that you did to get them, just as much. You know, I know it may be tiring, but that's.
And I want to speak to something you said just a minute ago, because I hear that a lot. So the woman says, you say, okay, so maybe you're ready for fun time, and your wife or your spouse says, hey, I have a headache, and you're tired of hearing that, right? And this is just, you know, I think that there, first of all, needs to be more communication about what's happening with the female body at different stages of her aging. You know, if you met and you were 17 years old, you're going to have a totally different mechanism, you know, of a body than you do at 40 years old. You're talking about how many years have passed, and you're asking for some of the same things. I think that also because of hormonal changes, like there's so much science. I do tell people this all the time. There are biological basis for all behaviors. And so when you see something changing from the way it used to be, you know, don't skip over the science of it. Don't skip over the biology of it. Do some research. Research what happens to your wife's body, you know, after childbirth. What happens to the hormonal changes? What happens to the amygdala? Is it impacted? That's the emotional center of the woman's brain, or the human's brain, right? What happens to that? Does the onset of having so many different, you know, pregnancies, does that impact what happens to bodies, period, after the age of 30? You know, what can we expect? And also, if you know, one spouse isn't happy sexually, then maybe looking at, okay, now it looks like we have a mismatched libido. How can we address this? You know, maybe she's too tired in the evening. Maybe, you know, have morning sessions. You know, these are like, I'm just being honest, you know, because, you know, this conversation is to keep marriages and relationships together. And sometimes you might not feel comfortable or know how to approach these conversations with your spouse. Well, this is really concerning me. I don't feel satisfied in this area. You know, what has changed that we can look at that might point to some of the reasons behind it? Your spouse might have every intention to want to be more physically expressive, but may have some limitations that she may or he may not even be aware of. You know, I speak to men all the time who struggle with erectile dysfunction disorder. They don't know why, you know, and they're like, how do I tell my wife about this, you know? And even, and I'm going to say this real quick, even the abuse of pornography and sexual images, leading it to excessive masturbation can decrease sensitivity for men, so they don't feel like they're ever pleased by their spouse. These are real issues in marriages that a lot of people aren't talking about, but they need to be discussed. And so when you create the space, I'm going back to communication again, when you create the space for honest and open conversations, you'll figure out, wow, we have a lot to work on, but we can do it because we have an open, honest space to talk.
Oh, yeah. And again, we're going to close this up. And again, I think that, you know, do you think that the the woman should work on it too? And again, you know, if you, again, I'm sure that you can say, when we talk about the men, there'll be a lot of things that men need to work on. And likewise, again, you know, those are things that if the person's not happy or satisfied, I'm gonna give a practical example. I recently got a job at Amazon due to the fact that a pandemic, I have a delivery service, was doing very well until the pandemic happened, and you know, and I mean, no calls in, but I still have bills, and so I need some money. So Amazon says hiring, no resume, just come down and get a job. I said, oh, no, what? I can do that. Yeah. I started working there, but I sucked at packing boxes. I knew when I got there, I'm like,
I'm not gonna be here for long.
Right. I'm like, I didn't. I'm like, I was, even before I started working at Amazon, I'm like, how do you put this box together? And but
they just come to my door.
And And at Amazon, you have to box pretty fast to keep that job. I mean, they want you to box from time you get there to the time you leave. They want you to be packing boxes. And I was about to get fired because I was just too slow. Guess what? This Amazon income is very helpful with my. Absolutely. Now my business is doing better now, doing way better now. But this Amazon income is a huge plus. So yes. I don't want to get this Amazon check yet. So guess what I did? I could have quit. I'm good. You know, there's no one can say Josh don't bring no money. I got that covered. But there's other things I want to be able to do, for us to be able to do for my family. That this Amazon check gives me a lot more comfortability to be able to do it. So I'm keeping it for right now.
Yes.
So guess what? I was about to get fired because I wasn't boxing fast enough. So they took me somebody, they trained me, and they gave me tips on what I can do faster, how to box faster. And guess what? I learned how to box faster. I learned the tips, do this, do that, do this. And I can be up there to almost to some of the top people during, you know, I'm not the fastest, but I'm sure not the slowest anymore.
Gotcha.
So likewise, and that has been a recurring situation in my life, in every situation. I can give examples that where I was struggling and I learned what to do. I learned how to become better. And I've learned that that even this situation here will come a relationship that you may have been struggling, but you have to learn how to become better. You know, if you're not if you're a person not pleased, you gotta up your game. If you know, and I'm gonna say to the men, if you're not providing financially, you need to up your game. You need to figure it out. You need to think very hard. How can I bring more income? The Bible said, if you seek, you'll find. If you knock, the door, if you ask, you shall receive. There's not a lack of resource. There's a lack of action.
That's
a lack of asking, a lack of knocking, a lack of seeking. And I believe that you know, the woman had a bit of responsibility to find out, okay, why I'm feeling this way. You know, why I'm not in the mood anymore as much as I used to be. You know, because again, you know,
but you bring up a great point, and this is the last thing I'll say. The Bible also says that that Christ gave up his authority for the church, and I think that speaks to, you know, the head, you know, seeing that there is a area of need, or, you know, an area that needs to be approached gingerly, and laying down the authority just so that it can be approached appropriately. And sometimes I think that men may feel like they're less of a man if they lay down their authority for the respect of their wife and come in a different way. So I think that needs to also be, you know, identified. Kudos to you, though, for not having too much pride that you couldn't provide for your family. Because I know men that wouldn't go to Amazon, but you said, no, my family, you know, you did that in some way, shape, or form. You kind of did that. You put away your pride. You put all that aside to address a need in your family. And I think that when we remove pride, so much can be done in a relationship.
Yep, great. Well, Jessica, thank you. We meant to have a part 2 to this.
It's gonna give me these questions though, but I was like, oh my gosh, woo! He's gonna have me heated this morning, but it's all good. It's all good.
This is where we talk about it,
right?
And talk about the hard and things, and share the hard discussion that people really don't want to have. I'm gonna have one on this criminal justice stuff. Soon watch. I think we need to have the hard talk.
Talking about racial trauma. Woo! That's another.
Well, I tell you the truth, I want to bring it from our end. You know, unfortunately, sometimes you know, people are not de-escalating the situation here. But that's for another conversation. Jessica, thank you for your time. I hope everyone else enjoyed the show. Let's talk about it. Women and relationships. We may have a part 2. And we also want to have a men in relationship also. Have you women send me your questions at revjspeaks@gmail.com or Facebook. You know how to find me. Send me your questions, and I'll have a guy on here, and we can talk about.
Let me know when that's on. I want to watch.
Okay, we'll talk about the real things that people really don't want to talk about.
I want to watch that.
Take care, Jessica. Thank you.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely down. I'm gonna watch that one. I'm gonna be one of your top fans. I'm gonna be right in the comments watching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone, this was shared on Facebook and YouTube, so you can go on YouTube and look at it later. Share with a friend, and we'll be on in a couple weeks probably. Talk to you soon. Bless.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.